Yeah, I really always thought I would eventually own a business, just because, well, for one, I like to make all the decisions, and I just really wanted something that I could build and be proud of and passionate about, beyond being a mother. You know, of course, that's an incredible journey in itself, but I wanted more than that. And so when the opportunity arose, you know, to maybe possibly start a business, we did get close to it on a couple different ideas that we had previous to Gulf Island Seaplanes, but in the long run, I decided not to do it, and which I think was because this was meant to be our path. And when it arose, the choice was pretty easy, and we were a bit terrified, but also excited. My husband was chief pilot for Tofino Air for several years, you know, supporting our family. And as I said, I knew I wanted to start a business, wasn't sure which ones. And then the opportunity arose from Sean's boss to take over the route that was from Gabriola Island to YVR in Vancouver. And, you know, we thought about it for a couple of days and really discussed all the options of what we would do and how I would be involved. Obviously, aviation isn't my background. And in the early days, I did more like bookkeeping and things like that. As the job grew, now I do a lot more than that. Realistically, it was a big choice, right? We didn't know if we would be able to support our family for sure. So we had to really work hard in those early days, and we had to scrimp a lot, and we didn't have much in the way of extra income, and we had to be creative financially in order to keep the business running those first couple of years. Eventually, we built it into something that is successful and growing, and leaning towards more of an Indigenous identity and supporting Indigenous businesses and communities as well, which is something I strongly feel passionate about, which I think when we started the business, I didn't see a path that joined the two together, but as times evolved on, we definitely are melding the two together. As one might assume, aviation has a lot of risks. It's an extremely expensive business to get into. Planes are not cheap. Planes parts are not cheap. Fuel isn't cheap. All of these things were things we thought about when we were taking on the business. I think that we were a little naive at the start, and you know, we were lucky that we're hardworking, we're good problem solvers, so we found our way. And you know, those risks kind of, they're always still there, they're going to be there. You know, COVID-19 happened, and we are in an industry that is combined with tourism and aviation, which obviously was extremely hard hit, and nobody saw that coming. But you know, we're super proud of having not only navigated that process and figuring out how to survive while having no income and, you know, doing all those things, but also to now be expanding, which we're very proud of, because most of the airlines didn't do that. We try our best, you know, to have a level playing field for all employees, whether you're a dock hand on the dock or Sean and I in the office. We're all willing to do any job that needs to be done. It isn't, you know, the dock hand's job to do anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. And we really try to, you know, portray that ourselves, so that everyone within our company also understands that, you know, they don't get to be in charge of anything without working together. So as of now, we offer 2 routes that go, well, 3 technically, but 2 of those both go to Gabriola Island. So Gabriola, you can fly to YVR on a scheduled flight, or you can fly to Cole Harbour in Vancouver, the Vancouver Harbour, on a scheduled flight. You can also fly to Hornby Island from Cole Harbour on a scheduled flight, and then we do scenic flights within the harbour, which are, you know, kind of my favorite part of the business. There's also a lot of charter work that we do. We work a lot with industries that are maybe building on an island or have projects out in hard to reach areas. We move crews or people that are going out to assess jobs and medical, you know, needs, all kinds of things. It's really endless what we're able to do because of the ability to land, you know, anywhere that there's water. Our future plan is in the works right now. It's a lot of work, and we are developing a tourism project which will be scenic flights in the downtown Vancouver Harbour, and we will offer cultural scenic flights where you can go for a flight and get a narration in the sky while you fly and see the landscapes and the areas and hear stories or knowledge sharing from elders, that type of thing, while you're in the air. So that's like something that will differentiate us a large amount from any of our competitors. We operate in such a way to be proud of everything we do, because a huge teaching with Indigenous people is the 7 generations. So you think of the 7 generations behind you and the 7 generations in front of you, and making those generations proud and setting the stage for future generations to also be proud of what you've done. So I think that that is a real way that we try to think about every project or day-to-day choice that we're making. We also are getting involved in carbon offsets and becoming carbon neutral, because the environment is extremely important to Indigenous communities and businesses, and we definitely want to be at the forefront of respecting that. Being a female, and an Indigenous female on top of that, in a male-dominated industry, you know, it's taken a lot of years to have people take me seriously. It's something that, you know, I think every woman can relate to, you know, whether it's a male-dominated industry or not. I think that it's something that is hopefully changing. I do feel like it's changing. Maybe it's just because I'm persistent, I don't know, but I feel like it's changing. And, you know, I think also it made me want to learn everything even more, because I wanted to be able to back up anything I was saying with knowledge. As we started as a business to really, you know, look at our identity as an Indigenous-owned business and really start to identify with that more so, it was part of the process that I wanted to be able to be a positive part of the narrative, you know, represent Indigenous business well, and also to contribute in some way to reconciliation. And I do believe that, you know, offering the cultural scenic flights that we're going to offer is reconciliation in action, you know, sharing positive stories of resilience and the people that were on this land. You know, I think it's something that is uplifting and something that everyone in BC, Canada, the world even, needs to hear about and be part of, and hopefully learn how incredible Indigenous people really are. So it's interesting because I have a 24-year-old daughter who is an entrepreneur, and she is doing the same thing. She's learning, and she asked me almost this exact question, and I said to her, be prepared. Like, do your homework, be prepared, know what you're talking about, because as an entrepreneur, especially if you're just starting out, you don't get many chances to redo something. So doing it right the first time is super important, and admitting when you haven't done it right. I think I wish I had known that almost every entrepreneur, if not every entrepreneur, is just as insecure inside about what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish, and feeling like maybe they're not going to be able to do it. And, you know, if you just keep pushing forward, believing in yourself, gaining that confidence, you know, you'll get there. It just doesn't always feel like it in the moment. I was, you know, I almost everything I do, I feel so insecure beforehand, but I really prepare. Like I was saying before, I really try to do my best to think of all aspects of what might happen and be prepared. And so when you do that, you may not do everything perfectly, but at least you can say you did your best.